Good morning, y'all. I need all my Christian warriors to pray for me that I would have peaceful sleep. Every single night since the day before the press conference, I've had demonic dreams. Legions of demons are attacking me every single time I sleep, and not one time have I seen any peaceful sleep since that day.
Bryce Mitchell claims his UFC 314 opponent, Silva, has sent a legion of demons to haunt his dreams, turning their fight into a battle of faith.
These demons surround me and they try to fight me and provoke me to anger, and then the dream will switch and they'll send beautiful women and they're trying to get me to lust, to cheat on my wife.
Bryce Mitchell has once again found himself at the center of controversy as he prepares for his upcoming fight against Silva at UFC 314. The outspoken fighter, who has stirred headlines in the past with his controversial opinions, recently claimed that he has been plagued by nightmares, believing that Silva has sent a legion of demons to haunt him. Mitchell, known for his strong religious beliefs, took to social media to ask his supporters to pray for him, explaining that ever since the press conference leading up to the fight, he has been experiencing disturbing dreams. According to him, these dreams involve demons surrounding him and attempting to provoke him to anger. He also described temptations in his sleep, where he is lured by women as part of an effort to make him unfaithful. Mitchell believes that these experiences are spiritual attacks meant to exploit his weaknesses.
Satan's using two of my weaknesses to try to expose the evil in my own heart, which is anger and lust. However, where I am weak, the Lord is strong. So please pray for me, especially if you're fasting right now.
He has framed his fight against Silva as more than just a competition inside the octagon. In his mind, this is a battle between good and evil, claiming that Silva is possessed and that he himself is fighting in the name of his faith. During a particular encounter, Mitchell recalled mentioning Jesus, which he says triggered a strong reaction from Silva, who allegedly started barking and chanting aggressively. Mitchell remains confident that he will prevail on fight night, saying that his faith will lead him to victory, just as David triumphed over Goliath.
Bryce Mitchell, Bryce Mitchell, Bryce Mitchell, Bryce Mitchell, hey, brother, Bryce Mitchell. What's wrong with you? You barking up the wrong tree, mother.
On the other hand, Silva did not take Mitchell's comments seriously. Responding on social media, the Brazilian fighter dismissed his opponent's fears as nothing more than nerves. He suggested that Mitchell was simply scared to face him and attributed his dreams to anxiety rather than supernatural forces. Silva also made a jab at Mitchell's claims of temptation, humorously suggesting that his testosterone levels might be the real reason behind such dreams. Regardless of the back and forth outside the cage, Silva made it clear that he is focused on their fight and is prepared to handle business on April 12th. He posted, "Just be ready for April 12th because I will be." Mitchell has gained a reputation for making bold and often controversial statements. Aside from his current feud with Silva, he previously sparked outrage earlier this year when he expressed admiration for Adolf Hitler, referring to him as a good guy. He also denied the Holocaust, making anti-Semitic and anti-LGBTQ+ comments on his podcast. The remarks led to widespread backlash, including criticism from UFC President Dana White, who strongly condemned Mitchell's views. However, White chose not to impose any formal punishment, instead urging the fighter to educate himself on history.
Out of all the dumb, ignorant shit I've heard in my life, this has to be the dumbest and most ignorant. Before we get started here, let me get some out of the way first here. I'm out here, have fun doing Power Slap tonight, and I'm sure you guys heard what Bryce Mitchell said. If you haven't, he said some probably, I've heard a lot of dumb, ignorant today, but this one's probably the worst. When you talk about Hitler, he's responsible for the death of 6 million Jews, and he tried to completely eliminate a race of people. World War II was the deadliest war in history. 15 million military deaths, 45 million civilians, and 25 million soldiers were killed in World War II. Second of all, Hitler is one of the most disgusting and evil human beings to ever walk the face of the earth, and anyone that even tries to take an opposing position is a moron. That's the problem with the internet and social media. You provide a platform for a lot of dumb, ignorant people. We've obviously reached out to Bryce, and when we read what he said and let him know how we feel about it, I don't even, we're beyond disgusted. So for those of you that don't know what's going on, good, you're lucky. For those of you that do, that's what I have to say about it.
Despite his controversies, Mitchell does have some support within the UFC. Former middleweight champion Michael Bisping recently weighed in on the upcoming fight, choosing to focus on Mitchell's skills rather than his personal beliefs. While acknowledging the backlash Mitchell has faced, Bisping reminded fans not to overlook his abilities in the octagon. He pointed to Mitchell's dominant performance against Kron Gracie as proof of his talent, while also noting that the featherweight contender has had setbacks in his career, including losses to top-level competition. Bisping said, "Talking about Bryce Mitchell might get you demonetized these days. However, this is an interesting fight. Gene Silva's wound him up to right? Bryce is pissed off. Now, Bryce is a very capable fighter. Don't be fooled by all this stuff with the flat earth and yes, the that he spoke about recently, okay? Not even going into that. Look at what he did to Kron Gracie. Got him in the guard, slammed him down, and elbow knocked him out cold. Yes, he had 2 losses recently. One of them, Josh Emmett, knocked out cold and took a year away from the sport before he got the legitimate win over Dan Ige. And before that, choked out by Ilia Topuria. Before that, the man was in an absolute roll. While Mitchell's spiritual battle has been a major talking point leading up to the fight, fellow UFC fighter Sean Strickland has offered a more grounded perspective. Strickland, known for his blunt and sometimes controversial takes, suggested that Mitchell's struggles might have more to do with anxiety than demonic forces. Drawing from his own experiences, Strickland pointed out that intrusive thoughts can often be a symptom of psychological stress rather than supernatural interference. He even recommended that Mitchell consider therapy, believing it could help him navigate his mental struggles. He posted on X, "I love Bryce, don't hold this against me, but therapy would do him wonders." Strickland's comments highlight a growing conversation in combat sports about mental health. Fighters are often expected to maintain an image of toughness, but figures like Paddy Pimblett have been vocal about the importance of discussing mental well-being. Pimblett, who has openly addressed the need for men to talk about their emotions, has emphasized that vulnerability should not be mistaken for weakness. In a sport that demands both physical and mental endurance, the pressures can take a toll on fighters, and Mitchell's recent struggles may be an example of that.
There's a stigma in this world that men can't talk. Wow. Listen, if you're a man and you've got weight on your shoulders and you think the only way you can solve this by killing yourself, please speak to someone. Speak to anyone. People would rather, I know I'd rather me mate cry on my shoulder and go to his funeral next week. So please, let's get rid of this stigma and men start talking.
Paddy Pimblett himself is set to face Michael Chandler in the co-main event of UFC 314. Pimblett is confident heading into his upcoming bout, asserting that the fight will not make it to the judges' scorecards. The Liverpool native believes his path to victory is clear, with a knockout or a TKO through leg kicks being his preferred routes. Pimblett's high level of self-assurance comes from his belief in his own skill set, particularly his grappling abilities. He secured 3 out of 6 victories in the UFC via submission, demonstrating that he can hold his own against top-level competition on the ground. However, it's his striking and unshakable confidence that are taking center stage leading into this showdown with Chandler. He said, "I think I could knock him out. I also think I could TKO him with leg kicks, but I don't think he is going to try to take me down. He knows I will submit him." Pimblett doesn't expect Chandler to attempt a takedown. He believes the 38-year-old American knows better than to engage him on the mat, as Pimblett has proven dangerous there in the past. Instead, Chandler will likely try to stand and trade punches. Pimblett is more than prepared for this, feeling certain that his defensive skills and range will frustrate Chandler. He points to his past experiences where opponents tried to knock him out but failed. Despite Chandler's explosive style and striking power, Pimblett is confident that his chin will hold up and he won't be the one to be knocked out.
What do you make of this ball of muscle, Michael Chandler?
He's a unit, isn't he? He's a little...
He is a unit.
But he's gonna try and come out and knock me head off. You know what I mean? Yeah. I do think he is one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. He comes out and he tries to absolutely take your head off, swinging overhands, left hooks, And that's all anyone's ever tried to do against me and knock me out, and no one's ever knocked me out. And Michael Chandler's not going to be the first person to. Again, just like last time, I think I want to keep him on the end of my range. I want to kick him, frustrate him. And I do think I could land a knockout blow as he steps in, like a punch, a kick, a knee, an elbow, anything as he steps in and brings all his weight forward and leans into a shot. I think I could knock him out. I also think I could TKO him with leg kicks, but I don't think he's going to try and take me down. He knows I'll submit him.
Chandler's aggressive approach is something Pimblett is well aware of. He expects Chandler to come out swinging, hoping to land a big shot early. However, Pimblett's strategy will involve staying on the outside, using his reach and leg kicks to control the pace of the fight. He's prepared for the fact that Chandler will be explosive, particularly in the first 2 rounds, but believes that once the fight enters deeper waters, it will play to his advantage. The younger Pimblett sees himself outlasting Chandler, capitalizing on his stamina and superior technique, especially if the fight reaches the later rounds.
It was also nice to size Chandler up. Like, a lot of people were surprised at how much bigger I am than him when I knew I was going to be that much bigger than him. I'm going to show everyone that the old guard's on the way out and the new guard's coming in. Funny, everyone's saying he's going to knock me out. I don't think he's going to get near me on the feet. Everyone thinks Mike's just going to come out and knock me out, lad, and I won't stand with him. Just like everyone thought I wouldn't stand with Bobby Green, but the striking's got so much better since the Bobby Green fight, and he's underestimating me, I think. Thinks he's fighting the same Paddy what fought Jared Gordon, lad, when I'm a fucking completely different fighter now. I've evolved.
Looking ahead, there's also the possibility of a future showdown between Pimblett and Charles Oliveira, a fight that Oliveira himself seems to be anticipating. Oliveira has been following Pimblett's rise in the UFC, noting his confidence and skills. Although Oliveira respects Chandler's explosiveness, he believes Pimblett's youth and technical abilities will prove to be a deciding factor if the fight goes into the 3rd round. Oliveira also suggests that Chandler's best chance lies in the first couple of rounds when his power and aggression are at their peak. However, as the fight progresses, Oliveira believes it will become more difficult for Chandler to keep up with Pimblett's pace and precision. Oliveira said, "Michael Chandler is a very aggressive and explosive guy. I have nothing but respect for him. He has power in his hands. On the other side, you have a younger guy that believes in himself, moves very well, and has really good jiu-jitsu and also a good stand-up game. He moves well, but experience counts for a lot. In the first 2 rounds, Chandler has a chance to knock him out because of how explosive he is. But if the fight goes into the 3rd round, I believe it's going to be hard for Chandler because Paddy is younger, and he's very talented." Oliveira's prediction for the fight adds another layer of intrigue to this matchup. He recognizes Pimblett's talent and believes that the 30-year-old fighter could have a very bright future ahead of him. While he acknowledges Chandler's power, Oliveira is confident that Pimblett's superior skills will eventually come through if the fight goes deep. The Brazilian also hinted at the possibility of a future fight between him and Pimblett, adding that if the Brit continues his rise, they will eventually cross paths inside the octagon. He further added, "I've been watching Paddy Pimblett for a while. He talks a lot and the people at the UFC love that, but right now he has a really important fight coming up and it's going to be a really tough test. If he keeps climbing the ranks, then we are going to fight, that's for sure." Arman Tsarukyan has dismissed the upcoming fight between Paddy Pimblett and Michael Chandler as nothing more than hype. In his eyes, neither fighter is worth his attention, as he is only focused on legitimate title contenders. Having missed out on a championship opportunity at UFC 311 due to a last-minute withdrawal, Tsarukyan has been vocal about his frustration with how the division is unfolding. Instead of the spotlight being on what he considers high-level matchups, he believes the attention surrounding Pimblett and Chandler is misplaced. For him, the real conversation should revolve around the true elite of the weight class, not fighters he sees as outside that circle.
Pimblett against Michael Chandler. That's the next UFC pay-per-view fight. You got Chandler, you got Paddy in that one.
I don't know. They're both not good, so I don't follow them. So it's like 50-50 fight. It's just hype fight. They're not like I don't watch their fights because they're not on my level.
You only watch fights that are on your level.
Sure. Yeah, it's a top 5 fighters or real contenders fighter.
But Nail Dariush has a different perspective on the bout. Unlike Tsarukyan, who outright dismisses it, Dariush sees the fight as a critical opportunity for Pimblett to break into the upper echelon of the division. From his standpoint, Chandler is the perfect opponent for Pimblett at this stage of his career. While acknowledging Chandler's history as an exciting fighter, Dariush pointed out that the former Bellator champion's UFC record of 2-4 indicates a downward trajectory. This, in his view, makes it an ideal time for Pimblett to face him. A victory over Chandler would solidify Pimblett's legitimacy as a true contender, giving him a significant step forward in the rankings. Dariush emphasized that while Chandler has been a fan favorite, the reality is that his recent results don't suggest he's still on the path toward title contention. Given that, Dariush believes Pimblett has a real chance of securing a statement win. He said, "I think for Paddy, it's perfect. You could be a fan of Chandler, whatever, you have to admit he's 2-4 in the UFC. Just being honest, I don't think he's on his way to the top. He's on a downward slope, so it's a perfect time for Paddy to kind of meet him there, and I think Paddy has a very good chance of beating him." One of the biggest factors that led Dariush to this conclusion is Chandler's recent performances, particularly his fight against Charles Oliveira at UFC 309. In that matchup, Chandler was repeatedly taken down and controlled for almost 15 minutes, which caught Dariush off guard. He had expected Chandler's wrestling pedigree to prevent such dominance, but the reality was quite the opposite. Chandler's inability to defend takedowns raised concerns about whether his wrestling had declined with time. Dariush had assumed Oliveira might land a takedown or two, but the frequency and ease with which it happened were surprising to him. This realization led him to believe that Pimblett could exploit similar weaknesses if he chooses to engage in grappling exchanges. He further added, Charles was able to get a lot of takedowns on Chandler, which I'm being honest with you, I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought maybe 1 or 2 takedowns, but to be able to take him down every round, that was very surprising to me. So I think Paddy has a great chance. I think the fight will play out a lot standing, but if Paddy gauges in the grappling, he'll actually have lots of success. So what are your thoughts about this? Do let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.